Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to WorksheetCloud and to your grade 6 English lesson. My name is Mrs. Vauget, and remember, if you do have any questions about this lesson, you can email me at grade6@worksheetcloud.com. So today, an overview of our lesson. We are going to obviously recap verbs, and we're going to learn more about auxiliary verbs, or what we call helping verbs. And there's three that we're going to look at today, and they are do, be, and have. But before we jump into our lesson today, I want us to look at the word for the day. So the word of the day is klatsch or klats, and it means a casual gathering, especially for refreshments and informal conversation. So it's not a party that you've organized, it's an informal thing. And so you could say the klatsch after the game was interesting. So maybe there was a rugby match, or maybe even an athletics event, and the klatsch after the athletics event was interesting. Maybe your parents got to meet other parents, maybe you got to meet some, or just socialize with some of the other teammates after the game. So that is what klatsch or klatsch means. And so see if you can use it somewhere in your writing or in the way you are speaking every day. Right, so then let's take a look at our verbs. So remember, we have done a lesson on verbs before, and we know that a verb is an action word. So jump, play, dance, write, sing, draw, those are all showing an action, the subject doing something. But it can also be a state of being, and that's where you get the verbs like is. She is a girl. I am a teacher. He feels tired, or he is tired. Okay, so just remember that verbs can be either of these. They can be an action or a state of being. So let's take a look at the difference between two types of verbs. So main verbs and auxiliary verbs. So your main verbs show an action, and they can stand by themselves. So for example, read, sleep, play, and ride. So if we go, he reads his book, she sleeps in her bed, they play outside, we ride our bikes. We don't need anything else there to attach to the word ride or play or sleep. But when you've got a helping verb called an auxiliary verb, and maybe that's what you know it as, is a helping verb, there are three main ones we're going to look at today. So do. I do my homework. Be could be is. He is sick. And have. I have baked a cake. So do you see how the word baked is the verb? But if I have a cake, okay, that makes sense. But I have baked a cake. So in a sentence, you might need to add a helping verb. So we're going to look at these three. And do, we normally have in the present tense, be normally in the continuous tense, and have in the perfect tense. And we will be doing other lessons on tenses. Okay, so the first thing we need to note, just some things that we do need to note before we actually get into the lesson, is that your auxiliary or helping verbs can also be a main verb. So just like I said earlier, I have made a cake, I have a cake. Do you see how the word have can be the main verb? I have a cake. I could say I have made a cake, or I have baked a cake, and that's where your have becomes an auxiliary verb. I have made a cake. But if I want it as a main verb, it can also be a main verb. I have a cake. So he did do his work. Mary is finished. I have 2 balls of wool. So they can be main verbs, and that's what you've got to remember. They're not always auxiliary verbs in a sentence. The second thing is to remember our last lesson on subject-verb agreement. And if you haven't looked at that one, maybe you should do that first. So remember, we spoke about singular subjects need a singular verb, and plural subjects need a plural verb. And so, for example, in these two sentences, she is reading, not she are reading, and they are reading, not they is reading. And if you look at it, she is singular, and so she needs to have the singular verb with the S, is reading, she is. If you look here, it's already plural, they automatically tells you there's more than one. And so you're not going to have the singular verb with the S because there's already a plural subject. So it's they are reading. So those are the first two things to remember. Auxiliary verbs can be the main verb, and you need to really be careful about your subject-verb agreement. The third thing to remember is that your auxiliary verbs are often function verbs. So they can be in the positive or negative tense. And what I mean by function verbs is you can join them as a contraction. So we don't often go, I am going home. I have bought some treats. He is sleeping in his room. Just for fluency and flow, we say, I'm going home. I've bought some treats. He's sleeping in his room. So they function as a contraction. They can also function in the negative. I haven't bought treats. Okay, comes from have not, and there's the auxiliary verb have. Okay, I have not bought treats. You could also join the auxiliary verb or the main verb have to a subject. So instead of saying I haven't, I can say I've not bought treats. And so two ways in which to just use the auxiliary verbs have, be, and do as function verbs. So again, just before we go on to the next slide, so the first one, to know that they can be main verbs. I have a cake, not I have baked a cake, so it can be a main verb. The second thing is that you really got to watch those subject-verb agreement rules. And the third one is as function verbs in terms of your contractions. So let's take a look at the first one, do. Okay, so we're looking at do, have, and be, or do, be, and have. And we'll see what order they come in. So the first one is do, and we're looking at the present tense, past tense, and future tense. Okay, so in the present tense, you know that it is do or does. He does his homework every day. I do my work every day. So you can use it in the present tense. You could use it in the past tense. So instead of saying I do my homework, I did my homework. Or in our example here, you could do it in the negative. She didn't complete the task. Okay, so that's in the past tense. Did, didn't, or did. And then obviously in future tense is something that will be happening. And so you have to use the word will with the word do. So they will do their work. Maybe it helps if you put the word tomorrow. So they will do their work tomorrow. So you use the word do as a helping verb, okay, in terms of the present, past, and future tense. Okay, she did complete, so there it's helping. She didn't complete, or she did complete. Here, it's the main verb. He does his homework every day. And in this one, they will do their work, also the main verb, but as you can see, got will do as future tense. And then as we said, before we move on, note the subject-verb agreement. So he does, he is a singular subject. So it needs the S in the verb. He does his homework. Here, she is also a singular subject. She didn't. Okay, so remember in the negative, our subject-verb agreement, do you need an S? No. Obviously, if we're talking about present tense, then it could be she doesn't complete. But in the past tense, subject-verb agreement, you don't need to worry about. Remember that rule that we spoke about last time. And then obviously they is talking about a plural. They will do their work. But we spoke about subject-verb agreement and said it's mainly in the present tense. Good. So let's try these grade sixes. So there are 7. So I want you to pause the video, write 1 to 7 on your piece of paper, and then fill in what you think these would be. And there might be 1 or 2 that might have an extra word, or it might have 2 options as your answers. Look at it and think what it would be in terms of do, did, does, doesn't, didn't, even is and are. Off you go. Right, here we go. Are you okay? Does Alan play the guitar? You can't say, did Alan play the guitar? I suppose you could. You could say, did Alan play the guitar yesterday? So it depends on the tense. And obviously that would come into play in the sentence. So if the teacher says, something Alan played the guitar today, or yesterday, or this morning, or this afternoon. So look for those keywords as well. Does Alan play the guitar? Number 3, something you intend on completing your work. Do you intend on completing your work? You can see this completing, ing, okay? It means it's something that's happening right now. So it's present tense. They did attend the lecture yesterday. There's the keyword yesterday. So do becomes did. And we're obviously talking about plural. Do you see the subject-verb agreement? I've put it here at the bottom again to remind you. It's not they does attend the lecture yesterday. It's obviously past tense. And in that situation, you don't need to worry about subject-verb. They did attend the lecture yesterday. Number 5. Did you wrap the gift for me? You can't say, does you wrap the gift for me? Do you wrap the gift for me? You could say that if you're standing at a counter at the shops and you've just bought a present, you could say, do you wrap the gift for me? Because maybe there's a counter where they wrap gifts. So you could have said do, or past tense, did you wrap the gift for me? Number 6, Sam didn't enjoy the roller coaster ride, and the word negative means you had to change it to doesn't. So you can't say Sam. You could say Sam doesn't enjoy the roller coaster ride. Absolutely correct. In the past tense, it's Sam didn't enjoy the roller coaster ride. Sam do enjoy the roller coaster ride. Doesn't make sense. Sam does enjoy the roller coaster ride would make sense, but we asked for it in the negative. And just look at that. If I did use it in the positive, Sam does enjoy the roller coaster ride. Did you see that? Sam is singular, and he needs a singular verb with S. Does. Sam does. Good. Number 7, Sally and her friends do knit. You could have said did knit, because maybe it's past tense. Sally and her friends does knit. Doesn't work, because think of subject-verb agreement. Sally and her friends is already plural, and so you don't need an S in your verb. So Sally and her friends do knit. You could have said did knit as well. Right. So let's now take a look at the auxiliary verb be. Okay, we use it in the continuous tense, and we will be doing a lesson on that, as I said. So continuous just means that something's happening at this time continually. So you have to add the word ing. So in the present tense, be would be am, are, or is. In the past tense, it would be was or were. And in the future tense, it would be will be. Look at this in practice. So obviously, if you are in a state of being, because you can be something. I am a teacher. That's who I am being. Let's look at some examples. I am waiting for him to come. You can't say I'm waiting for him to come, and so you need some help in the form of the helping verb be. So I am waiting for him to come. Let's look at the second one. They were washing the dishes. Okay, it's plural, they. You're not going to say they was washing the dishes. So we're talking about past continuous tense in the sentence. If I was doing present continuous tense, it would be they are washing the dishes. They were washing the dishes. And look again at the very important part, subject-verb agreement. Okay, there you can see they, plural. Okay, remember in past tense, you don't have to worry about the subject-verb agreement, but if it was present tense, you do. So if I said they are washing the dishes, you're not going to say they is washing the dishes, because they is already plural, so you don't need an S in your verb, the plural verb, plural subject, plural verb. Right, she is baking cookies. I could change that to past tense. She was baking cookies. But in she is, again, subject-verb agreement, she is singular. So you need your singular verb with the S. She is baking cookies. Aren't you coming? So that's in the negative. So there's the present tense. So instead of saying, are you coming? I'm saying, are in the negative. Aren't you coming? Are you not coming? It's actually what it stands for. And remember, we use these contractions as function verbs. So it makes your speech flow better. I will be singing in the show. So there's the one about future continuous tense. I will be singing. I am singing is present continuous. I am singing. I was singing. I will be singing. Future continuous tense. Right, let's take a look at our next one. Okay, I want you to take a look at these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences and think of which words here. That's why I've left them on the screen. Are you going to use am, are, or is, was or were in the past tense, or will be in the future tense? And what I want you to look at is some of these you can use past, present, and future to make the sentence make sense. So you might need to write down at least 2 or 3 sentences for each one. So give it a shot. Off you go. Pause the video, and when you come back, we'll go through the answers. Right, let's take a look. We could have said John is, so that's present tense, is funny. Or in the past tense, I could say he was funny. There's your helping verb. Okay, he's in a state of being. Was funny or is funny. Will be funny, you could have also used as well. The second one, I writing in my diary. Can you see? It doesn't really make sense, so you need a helping verb. I am writing in my diary. Or I was writing in my diary. Or I will be writing in my diary. The next one, the children playing in the garden. We need that helping verb. The children are playing. So that's what's happening right now. Or were, past tense, were playing. Or will be playing in the garden. Next one, Mary be doing extra work. Okay, you can't say Mary was be doing extra work or is be doing extra work. Doesn't make sense. You know when you've got be going, it's future, so it's will be going or will be doing extra work. Next one, something you're going to the party. Is you going to the party? Doesn't make sense, remember? So your subject-verb agreement, are you going to the party? You're not going to say am. Am you going? Because am goes with I. Am I going to the party? So are you going to the party? You could even put it with are we going to the party as a question. And then the last one, remember we called Paul and Linda, do you remember it? A compound subject. Because like a compound word has 2 parts, Paul and Linda are 2 subjects. So we call it a compound subject. Paul and Linda, you could do are going to the movies. That's present tense. Were going to the movies or will be going to the movies. How did you do? I hope you did okay. Here we go. So now we're looking at the auxiliary verb have. And it's to do with the perfect tense. And so if you haven't got any knowledge about the perfect tense, don't stress. As I said, we'll be doing a lesson on continuous tense and perfect tense. So let's take a look. In the present perfect tense, happening right now, we use the words have or has. If we are talking about the past tense, it's had. And if we are talking about the future perfect tense, it is have, as in will have or going to have. So let's look at these examples. I have been waiting for him to come. They will have washed the dishes by 2 p.m., future tense. She has baked cookies. Okay, talking about, sorry, not this, talking about present tense. Have they paid for the pizzas? Also present, because maybe you're standing waiting and you say, have they paid? Right, so let's see how we put that into practice. But before we do, again, note the subject-verb agreement. Okay, I have is singular. Okay, so remember we normally said that if you have a singular subject, it needs a singular verb with an S. But I have does not have an S. You can't say I has been waiting. But remember we had exceptions to the rule. Right, here we go. She, singular subject, so it needs a singular verb with S. She has baked cookies. Okay, she have baked cookies doesn't sound right. Anyway, she had baked cookies will make sense, but remember, in past tense, you don't have to worry about subject-verb agreement. Right, let's see how you've done. So I has or have a big nose. I have a big nose. Good. Number 2, he have long hair. Singular subject needs a singular verb with S. He has long hair. Good. Number 3, she have a great speaking voice. No, it's going to be she has singular subject with that singular verb with an S. Number 4, they are already plural. So has or have? Good, have. They have a beautiful home. You could say they are going to have. Could have also used that one. Number 5, you don't have to do that. And number 6, they have to go to work. It's already plural, so you don't say they has to go to work. They have to go to work. Right, so now we've got an overview of the rest of them all muddled up. I want you to think about, especially if you're looking for clues in your sentences when your teacher gives us to you. So look for things that show you about the tense. Okay, purchased, ed, is going to do with past tense, and lost. Okay, hope is present tense, baking is continuous, been working, okay, made. Okay, so go through these very carefully, and when you come back, we'll go through them together. Ready, how did you do? Let's take a look. Right, Jessica is taking John to the airport. Okay, you can't say has or had taken John to the airport. Jessica was taking John to the airport. Could have worked perfectly as in past tense. Okay, so is the be auxiliary verb. Okay, so do. Jessica does taking John, or do doesn't work. Number 2, if he arrive on time, he'll have to take a later flight. So if you read that sentence, you would see there's something in the negative because it's about him arriving on time to catch a flight. If he doesn't arrive on time, he's going to have to catch a later one. So that was the word doesn't, if he doesn't arrive on time. If he hasn't, you could have done that in the negative as well. Maybe some of you saw that. If he hasn't arrived on time, he'll have to take a later flight. Could you have used that? Look again. If he hasn't arrived, it would work if you said if he hasn't arrived. So past tense. So just be careful when you're doing those. Okay. Number 3, and there you can see he'll have to take a flight. I love that one because I gave it to you there. Number 3, unfortunately, our dinner has been eaten by the dog. Past tense. Not have been eaten, has. Okay. Did been eaten? Do been eaten? No. Is being eaten? Yes, but you would have had to make sure that you change the rest of the sentence. So it has been eaten. Number 4, I purchased a new pair of shoes to replace the ones that were lost in my luggage. Can you see I could have left out that auxiliary verb because it makes sense. I purchased. But we've especially had that place there to see how are you going to do it in terms of past tense. I have purchased. I had purchased a new pair of shoes to replace the ones that were lost in my luggage would have also worked, have or had. And then the ones that were, not was lost, okay, because remember we're talking about plurals. The ones, the pair of shoes, the ones shows plural, so you can't say ones has, they've both got S's. So the ones that have or were, or not was, lost in my luggage. Sorry, I was talking about a different word there, wasn't I? Number 5. We hope you don't have an accident on your way to school. Number 6, she was baking a pie for dessert. You could have said had baked a pie if it was baked, ed, but it was baking. So she does baking a pie, doesn't work. So hopefully you used was baking a pie for dessert. Number 7, Dad has been working hard all day. And number 8, the bed was made as soon as I got up. Not is made, because you've got to look at your tense throughout the sentence. And I want you to just remember as you're looking at these sentences, when you are writing, you need to keep the same tense that you use at the beginning of your sentence in the last part. And even if you're doing a paragraph, you might use present tense in this paragraph and then change your tense to past in the next one. That's fine. But don't have present and past muddled up. So make sure that when you are writing, be very aware of the things we've discussed today, especially your subject-verb agreement. So take a look here. I can't say the bed is made as soon as I got up. It should be the bed is made as soon as I get up. Get and is present tense. But was and got is past tense. So they've got to work together. The bed was made as soon as I got up. Great. So guys, let's wrap it up. Remember, there's an activity for you at the end of this video, and then you can email me any questions you have about this video at grade6@worksheetcloud.com. WorksheetCloud.com. And so nothing more from me but to say thanks for watching grade 6s. I need to move myself out the way of the writing. And remember, this lesson was brought to you by Worksheet Cloud, and you know where I will be. Same time, same place. Have a great day, guys.